only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined, as always, by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and our from entertainer,
Wayne Baker.
Thank you for not burping into the microphone.
You're welcome.
Now, today we have a very interesting, very exciting episode lined up. We're going to have on the phone with us Alexis and Chip Hayden, who are filmmakers of an upcoming documentary called Blood, Sweat, and Beer, which we're going to give you all the details of. But joining us now at the table, we have the return of somebody who I'm angry at for the moment, and somebody I've just met for the first time who I'm also angry at. We have with us
John Gillespie.
And
Andrew Gillespie.
Now, do you want to tell everyone why I'm angry, or should I?
Yeah, there's no reason not to say it at this point. I'm going to be moving to Nashville here in a couple of months, April-ish. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Leaving the Pennsylvania scene. Yeah.
Are you rage quitting Pennsylvania?
I'm rage quitting. I would flip this pool table if it wasn't so heavy.
Yeah. And if there wasn't
beer on it.
Yeah, you can't waste the beer.
Well, you did, warm us up a little by bringing some delightful beers.
That's true.
Yes.
Which I guess we can talk right off the bat. We have a sipping beer, which admittedly I have hoarded the rest of the bottle.
Yeah, which
sorry,
I was going to
but-
say, Steph.
Yeah, I've
is-
just
Sorry,
seen
not sorry.
You've just been pouring.
Sorry,
and
not sorry.
pouring.
She's poured herself 3 sample
Sorry,
glasses
not
while the rest
sorry.
of us have been nursing one.
This beer is amazing, and
It
you know how
is
much I love
amazing.
smoked beers. This is Slew by Hazzard Brewing Company in Nashville, Tennessee. And before we started recording, Andrew, you told us something very interesting about Tennessee and beers like this that are like 9.2% ABV.
Right. So this particular beer, I bought it at a store called Craft Brewed, and basically the store is all under one roof. But because in Tennessee, they have laws where they can only sell, certain beers up to a certain alcohol percentage. They can't basically sell anything over, I think it's about 6.5% on Sunday. So they actually have the store separated into a high grav side and a low grav side. And this, of course, came from the high gravity side of that. So
I really like it. It pours really dark, doesn't have too much of a head to it. It's got a really nice, lack of a better term, smooth flavor to it.
Yeah, but still, separate stores for high and low grav beer. I mean, thanks, Obama.
Really? No, I love the roasted character. I love the smokiness that kind of lingers with you, and you almost get a touch of sweetness in the end, almost like cherry flavor or something like that. It's such an amazing beer.
It's
So
wonderful.
good.
I did do some notes on these beers that we brought along, but they're helpfully sitting on my printer at home. So, but I remember most of what I looked up, and
you do.
The one thing that stood out for this one, this beer rated 100 on Beer Advocate by the experts, not by the crowd rating.
The peons.
Yeah, by the plebeians. But no, the ones who really know what they're doing, or at least we believe they do, said this beer was darn near perfect. So doesn't surprise me. It's an amazing beer.
I'd have to agree. I really, Sue I've had most of everything that Yazoo makes. Been to their brewery, taken a brewery tour, and I would say Sue and I do gravitate towards the dark, the porters, the stouts. That's kind of I like a good strong IPA as well, but I think Sue is probably the finest that they have to offer. I really, really like it.
Have you had the smoked porter by Alaskan Brewing?
I don't believe I have.
That's one of my favorite beers ever.
Ooh.
And it reminds me of that a little. It's very reminiscent of that. This has a bit of that sweetness at the end, which I really love. But that's another amazing smoked porters. You can't go wrong when you make a smoked beer.
You really can't.
Well, you could,
Challenge accepted.
but it's I haven't seen it yet.
Challenge accepted.
And I should say as well, Yazoo is Nashville, so we have a selection of beers from the southern area. Not all of them are Nashville itself, so I'll point out where these each come from.
Some beers that you're going to be very familiar with.
Yeah, beers that I'll be spending too much money on here in
you're
the
a
near
trader.
future.
So
Yeah.
there will be a lot of articles on beerbusterspodcast.com about Tennessee breweries, correct?
We can look forward to that.
All
yes.
right.
All right,
sounds
good.
I don't know who's going to write them, but I look forward to reading them.
Oh,
Wow. Andrew, that's where you come in.
I'll do my part.
He's the engineer. He isn't. You don't want them to write.
Oh, come now.
It'll read like a technical manual.
I was just gonna say,
Just be like, well, I got into the gearbox behind their brewing system, and that was pretty interesting. There seemed to be some kind of wiring system.
hey,
in
there's
there.
some readers that might be interested in that.
Hey,
There's a lot of engineers that go into brewing beer.
There
John.
are a
There's
lot
reason.
of engineers
There's a
that go
reason
into
for it. Now they're probably not the ones that write the literature.
most likely not. Most likely. Naked Brewing that comes off the top of my head.
Yeah.
With
Oh,
an,
yeah.
with an engineer.
Yeah.
There's actually a brewery called Beer Engineers that's out of, I think, either Birmingham or Huntsville.
Wow.
Alabama.
There you go.
Learn something new every day.
Make it work.
Make it rain? No, not really. Well, I have finished my my glass. I need a refill, so let's do this.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
I just asked that I get whatever this beer is first. That way I don't have to worry about Steph hoarding it.
Oh.
Oh, shots fired. Well, what do we have up first? What is being passed around the table?
So our friends at Saucony Creek Brewing Company in Kutztown sent us some beers to drink on this episode. Thanks, guys. You rock.
You're my favorite.
Feel free to send more whenever you'd like.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
We're very much anticipating the opening of their brew pub coming up this spring, so more on that in the future. But Kirby put together a few bottles for us, the first of which is a beer from their X Reserve series. Now, the X Reserve beers are a limited release series, the Brewers Reserve series that's going to feature a new beer release throughout the year. All X Reserve beers will be available on draft and in 750 milliliter bottles. They're available on a first-come, first-served basis. The 750 milliliter bottles will be available for purchase beginning March 1st, and each X Reserve beer will be brewed only once on their a 30-barrel batch once per year. And we actually have one of the very first 750 milliliter bottles that have been filled and labeled. Really cool label, by the way. I love
That is
them.
really awesome.
Yeah.
It looks pretty neat.
And this is the Lord of Misrule. And the notes say this complex, rich, very smooth Belgian dark ale is brewed with dark Belgian candy syrup combined with a classic Abbey yeast, revealing marvelous complexities. Flavors of fig, raisin, banana, and hints of spice balance exceptionally well with the subtle alcohol warmth at a dangerously drinkable 9% ABV.
Almost sessionable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
So this is the kind of beer you
9%.
have to get on the wrong side of the tracks in Tennessee,
Right,
right?
apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to go down a very narrow set of stairs to get this.
You got to talk to
corridor.
you got to talk to the guy behind the door.
Mo sent me.
You
Now-
don't see his face.
John, when we pulled out the bottle earlier, you said you weren't sure what the story was behind Lord of Misrule. Well, I
Yeah.
happen to know.
Not to be confused with Lord of Hyrule.
I'm glad you know.
In England, the Lord of Misrule was an officer appointed by lot at Christmas to preside over the Feast of Fools. The Lord of Misrule was generally a peasant or subdeacon appointed to be in charge of Christmas revelries, which often included drunkenness and wild partying in the pagan tradition of
Saturnalia.
Saturnalia. Nalia?
Saturnalia.
Very cool. So I actually don't have any in my glass yet, since apparently I have to pour last now.
Did it say? I may have missed it. Did it say what the what the X in X Reserve is symbolic of, or is it just this is our X? X marks the spot.
I was going to go with X.
We wanted to put an X on the bottle. I mean, it's cool. It's a very, very cool logo, and I did not know that.
Can I
That's
see
an
the bottle,
interesting
John?
historical fact. Yeah, you can.
And I know when we had
go, brother.
Kirby and Vaughn on the show from Saucony, we had their Hexeri,
Yes.
and they had talked about doing a reserve, like a Black Magic series, I believe. It's been a little while since we recorded that episode, but
I don't think that's
I don't think that's
what this is.
Yeah.
No, because the Hexeri idea was to do white magic, black magic, blue
Right,
all
right,
that
yeah.
stuff. I think this is a little different, but it's very good.
Rich and I stopped there on Valentine's Day. They did a beer and cupcake pairing.
Oh, yeah, I saw
for
that on
Valentine's
that on
Day.
Facebook.
Nice.
And I had the X Reserve Imperial Coffee Stout. Which
that sounds good.
I think I will go on.
How does that compare to North Ramp?
I think this is better,
Oh,
in my opinion.
North
I
Ramp's
think it's
really good.
North
I
Ramp
think
is
this
good.
Imperial, because North Ramp has always been my favorite
Oh,
of their
yeah.
beers, but this I think might be my
Wow.
new Saucony Creek beer. They also had the other ex-reserve beer that was on at the time was the raspberry lager.
Whoa.
Which was
Yeah,
perfect.
we
I
got to
thought
try
for
that
cupcakes and
when we stopped
Valentine's
in.
Day.
They poured just a little bit.
Nice. I thought that was
very
good.
And you couldn't bring any of that with you, could you?
Hey, we went to be given what they were.
No,
going to
They
that's,
had
that's
very-
fine. And we're very appreciative
This is
of what they
good.
sent
This is
over.
good. Yeah,
It's totally drinkable. It's sweet.
dangerously drinkable.
You would
Yeah.
not think 9%.
Dangerous.
You
Yeah.
would definitely
Cheesy.
not think it's that high.
No, you
It
No.
doesn't
don't.
drink that way at
And
all.
the Belgian candy syrup comes out. It gives you that nice silky sweetness to it. Yeah.
That was going to be my question, Steph. What's the difference? Because when I drink this, my first thought is saison. They call it a Belgian dark ale.
Saison.
No,
It's
no
definitely
saison.
more Belgian-y. Like
It's a lot more malty and sweet.
Yeah,
You
they get
definitely
that.
get the fruit notes from the Belgian yeast.
You're
Yeah.
right.
The mouthfeel is kind of like a
I
saison.
apologize. Sorry.
It is a
Stupid.
little
I'll just leave now.
little thinner than I was expecting, but I kind of like that. I think that's what's making it extra drinkable. No, this is nice. I love the idea that they're going to do these 30 barrel batches and look something new to try and if that imperial coffee is still on, please go get it.
I'd love if they
It's so
would
good.
manage to get. Not this isn't a crack on them. It's whatever issues they're having. I'd love if they could get their brew pub open before I leave, so that I can experience that.
Yeah.
Last time I
I've
talked
been,
to Kirby,
I've been
he
waiting
said
for that
April.
for like over a year.
Just stay. That's the answer.
Yeah.
to that.
Oh, I'll just live there. That would
yeah,
make
go live.
sense.
Yeah,
we have an
there you go.
extra room here. I'm sure
Oh.
Rich wouldn't mind.
Yeah, well, you've already got 2 cats.
Just pay a little bit of rent.
He wouldn't mind taking in a 24-year-old man. That's fine.
Although, Steph, you'd lose a lot of beer, though.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have to put locks on all my
That's the problem.
fridges.
Oh,
Yeah,
see,
you-
now,
yeah.
Don't
now we're getting all kinds of rules.
Don't put anything in the
I don't-
kegerator either, because you can't lock
Although,
that.
given the
Yeah.
events of
I'll
this
figure it
evening, I
out.
think John might be the one who will be losing beers that he brought
True.
home.
I have a few.
Wait a minute.
I'm not going to let you live that down all
Come
night.
on now. Wait a fucking minute. Really?
Really.
Oh, really?
I don't think it was that intense. I didn't need to swear.
Anytime you say, wait a minute, I have to.
So I should never say wait a minute
There's
ever
a lot of
again.
things you should probably not say.
This is nice and warming. Like
What,
it doesn't
the-
have a lot of alcohol heat
I
in
feel
the flavor,
warm.
but it does have a nice warming feeling as it goes down, and it is
It's the way it should
dangerously
be.
drinkable.
It really.
It is.
I would not think this is anywhere close to 9%. That's very
No.
well masked.
Words about beer. I can't words right now.
Should we pour the next one?
You're useless. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. You're not a very nice man, but
John,
that's
very well said. Very well said.
This beer, what we're trying now, is the Hop Suplex Ale, which has one of the best labels I think I've ever seen on a beer bottle. This is amazing. So, what is the story behind this one?
This is their 10% ABV Imperial IPA that's brewed with honey. It has a pleasant orange color, accompanied by American hop aromas of pine needles and freshly sliced grapefruit. Suplex has subtle hints of honey with a mouthful of hop flavor. As this medium body beer warms, the orange blossom honey flavor becomes noticeable. The beer rounds out with a warm yet pleasant bitter finish, and it's best served at cellar temperatures.
Even the aroma is just so complex
nice, yeah.
off of it. Oh my god, it's just so layered.
I have to ask, as a fan of the show, Dan, is that the first time you've ever introed a beer?
It may be.
I can't remember you ever being the one to say, what we have here is.
You're always like, so what's up next?
It's the first time I've had the bottle in my hand.
You know what? I really dig the aroma of this.
Yeah,
I do
it's
too.
very good.
It's
got-
super, super piney.
It is, but it's got
dank,
like a pepperiness hiding in the background.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Like
It's
just
really subtle.
lurking in the shadows. There.
I actually don't think
Waiting
I've
to
ever
strike.
had this.
You've never had some?
I don't think so.
I think the very first time I went into Saucony Creek, I was telling my brother, for anyone who hasn't been in Saucony Creek recently, if you've been there a while ago, the very first time I went in there, I think they were.
in other words, not recently.
You know, you're useless. I think the first time I went in there, they had like a fold-out table, and then their kegerators behind it. Their setup in just their tap room has gotten so much better. I mean, it's really nice in there now. You can go and hang out. It's a cool place.
Good. I'm looking forward to more aged Maple Mistress down the road. So, man, it was so good.
We asked if they had any. They
Yeah.
did not.
Yeah,
That's just what they told you.
They said they did. They
Liars.
said they did.
It's in the back for the Beer Busters.
Ooh, hey, we have our special stash.
That's right.
This, I would not
This-
put this anywhere near 10 either. I
Yeah.
kind of want to say that that's a typo.
Well, you know, I find
It's actually one.
I find that it's actually one. Double IPAs and Imperial IPAs do tend to hide the alcohol because you get such that intense hop flavor that
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
for me at least masks, and I'm always like, it's how much? Wow.
Yeah, when you're being smacked in the face by hops, it's hard to notice you're being kicked in the nuts by
Or
alcohol.
if you're being suplexed by hops.
I see what you did
There it is.
Bump.
This is delicious. Though. I really like this.
This is nice. I like it. Yeah.
I like it so much that I wish it wasn't 10%. I know. Drink more of it without getting drunk.
Yeah.
I just can't get over. It literally feels like when you go in the cooler and you get the hop bag for the hop edition,
Yeah.
and you open it up to start weighing those hops.
And just pour the whole thing in.
No, as soon as you open that bag,
Like that fresh
this
hop.
is
That
what it
smell is
smells
amazing.
like. It is such a good aroma. I mean, the beer tastes good too, but
But the aroma is great. It is very fresh quality to the aroma.
Steph, I'm gonna put you on the spot. What kind of hop do you think that is? That main aroma character we're getting.
So as we mentioned in the show intro, we're very excited. We have a phone interview, which is pretty rare for us. I'm very excited about this because this is something I'm looking forward to seeing. We have with us Alexis Irvin and Chip Hayden, who are two filmmakers who have an upcoming documentary, which will be called Blood, Sweat, and Beer. So Alexis and Chip, how are you guys doing tonight?
Hi, we're so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out to us so you can come on. Now I checked out the trailer that you guys had on your website. It's very compelling. We were watching it before we started recording earlier, and it seems to draw me in every time that I see it. And I'm really looking forward to it. Now the question I guess I would have to start it all off is, what was the inspiration for this?
Well, both Alexis and I really love beer. Anytime we travel to a new town or a new city, the first thing we do is seek out the local brewery, local brew pub, and try something new. So it sort of started with just a general love for beer. And from there, we started filming interviews with different brewery owners and brewers about 2 years ago. And then sort of after filming almost 100 interviews, we honed in. We sort of realized that the true stories, the emotional, compelling stories, were with the startup breweries. So we started filming with those two startups that you saw in the trailer. That's Backshore Brewing Company in Ocean City and the Brew Gentleman Beer Company in Braddock, Pennsylvania.
So the question I then have for that would be, why those two breweries? I mean, they seem like, from the footage I saw in the trailer at least, they're very nice, very welcoming guys who are very passionate about what they're doing, hence, the name of the documentary and all. But what made you choose those two in particular?
Sure. So Danny Robinson from Backshore Brewing was actually one of probably, I think, like the first 10 interviews that we did. And Chip and I were both kind of instantly intrigued by Danny. He was super passionate, really enthusiastic, and he was opening a brewery up on the boardwalk in Ocean City, Maryland. So it's kind of like on the beach, big tourist attraction, the waves in the background, the sun overhead, and it just seemed like a really fun location. We were kind of intrigued by Danny's story and what he wanted to do with his brewery. Little did we know, about 3 months into filming with him, we filmed him on his grand opening day, and then about 3 months later, he got slammed with this trademark lawsuit against his brewery's name that just snowballed into kind of a catastrophic lawsuit that has overtaken the last year of his life.
We sort of followed where the stories were. So with Danny, the lawsuit thing we didn't expect, but it turned into a pretty compelling story. And the same goes for the Brew Gentleman in Braddock, Pennsylvania. So Braddock was a town that was really prosperous back in the 50s. One of the first steel towns in America. I think Andrew Carnegie had the first steel mill in the entire country was located in Braddock. And then over the last sort of 30, 40 years, the town has really gone downhill when all the steel mill jobs sort of went automated or went overseas. A lot of those jobs were lost. A lot of people moved out of town, and it's really fallen into disrepair. We drove through town. It's like driving onto the set of a post-apocalyptic movie. There's trees growing through houses, and everything's rusted and ruined. So we were sort of intrigued by the town, and we talked to these young guys that were 22, 23 years old that wanted to start the Brew Gentleman Beer Company, and their goal was to bring manufacturing back to this town and revitalize the area, and we thought that was a really compelling story.
And while I was watching the trailer, that's what struck me. I mean, I'll admit, I was getting a little teary-eyed. I was getting connected with these guys, feeling their pain, feeling their passion, feeling empathy for what they were going through, but just knowing that deep down, these battles and the diversity that they're pushing through is worth it, because you can tell at the end, they just really want to make and share really well-made craft beer.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of like what we realized as we're making the movie is like we started out with this idea about craft beer, but it really kind of became the entrepreneur's journey. So it's like you put it all in the line for this big idea that you have. You invest your time, your money, your hopes, your fears. Like you put everything into opening the brewery and hoping that it's going to work. And then what happens? So that's kind of what the movie is about.
now your film you're going to have a big world premiere in DC, which is where you guys are from, on March 1st, which is exciting. And I will be there with my husband. I can't wait to go and to see the film and meet you guys and meet the brewers afterwards. We're really excited about that. But where else can people experience this film?
Yeah, definitely. People can pre-order the movie on our website, which is bloodsweatbeermovie.com. So you can pre-order the movie. We like to say you can pre-order it for the price of a pint, $5.
Nice.
And then after that, so our world premiere will be at the DC Independent Film Festival on March 1st. And then after that, we are going to be screening at beer weeks, beer events, and film festivals across the U.S. throughout 2015. So if you would like to do a screening of Blood, Sweat, and Beer in your hometown, we've got a cool little screening request form on our website. We'd love to come out and visit and share the movie and drink some beers.
Fantastic. And you guys have some dates listed beginning of March all the way through June. We'll get those dates and the locations up on our website, but you can also get tickets at bloodsweatbeermovie.com, or you can also pre-order the movie. Now, you're going to do a digital download, but there's also people can actually buy a physical copy, a DVD of this as well. When do you expect to see that coming out?
Yeah, definitely. So we're hoping to get the digital download and the DVD out by the end of this year. Our sort of goal, if we can make it work, is to release it right around the time of GABF, the Great American Beer Festival, in October. So that's a tentative goal that we have. We'd love to have it out by then. And
And then we're hoping to get our special edition DVD, which would have bonus footage and interviews with all the great brewers and breweries that we did, hopefully out in the beginning of 2016.
Very cool. Now, I saw on your website you mentioned you recorded with a lot of other breweries, and I took note of a few of them. You had Sierra Nevada, you had Trogs, which we've had Trogs on the show a couple of times. We've talked to people from there. Brooklyn, Oscar Blues, you had Rogue, Terrapin, the brewery, Firestone Walker, Victory, who's relatively local to us as well. You had Ruhlman, which we actually met Ruhlman at an event we recorded at back in September at the ABC Beer Fest, the Appalachian Brewing Company Beer Fest. But how did you start contacting them? What kind of inspired you to get a hold of them to incorporate anything they had to offer into this documentary?
Yeah, so we kind of started out, like we said, with just this like craft beer industry idea. So we are from Maryland, so we started contacting Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania breweries and Delaware breweries just to start and kind of interview people, talk to them, and see what was going on with the industry. And then from there, we kind of made the decision to go forward with either kind of the really big breweries that have been killing it for the past couple of years and bringing the craft beer scene up in the U.S., or kind of talking to the more new startup breweries that are having all of the growing pains and trying to get going.
Yeah, we definitely figured it wouldn't be fair to just do Delmarva breweries. We had to get out to the West Coast. We had to get to Colorado, California, Portland, where all these huge breweries are. I think in Portland, it's like 50% of draft beer sold is craft beer, which is an amazing statistic.
Wow.
So we knew we had to get out there to capture some of those brewery stories as well to sort of get the complete picture. So it was a lot of fun. We traveled. I think we filmed in over maybe 15 or 20 different states. With a bunch of different breweries and beer writers. One of my favorite interviews, we talked to the governor of Colorado, John Hickenlooper, who back in the 80s started a brew pub. I think it was the first brew pub in the Rocky Mountains. It's called the Wine Coop in lower downtown Denver. And just a pretty inspirational story because lower downtown Denver was pretty much like Braddock is now, sort of abandoned, empty warehouses, no business. And they started this brewery, and cut to 10, 15 years later, all of a sudden, all these restaurants are moving into town, all these entrepreneurs, all these businesses and artists are moving into town. And it worked really nicely in the film as a sort of a glimmer of hope for what Braddock could look like in the future, given this brewery rising up.
Awesome. Now, I obviously the reason that you guys chose to do the film on this particular subject matter was your love of craft beer. I'm curious how the two of you got into filmmaking in general.
Sure. So Chip and I, this is our second documentary. Our first documentary is called The Dream Share Project. We filmed that when we were 22 years old, entirely on flip cameras. So,
Nice.
Yep. We both quit our 9-to-5 jobs that we had gotten after college and decided that they weren't quite for us, and we took on a 3-month road trip across the U.S., and we interviewed people that had their dream jobs, and we asked them, how did you figure out what your passion was, and how do you make a living from it? So that is our first movie, and it's called The Dream Share Project, and we show that at colleges and universities across the U.S.
Now, I have a beer question, of course. I'm sort of familiar with these two breweries, but I'm very intrigued by some of the unique brews that they make. The Brew Gentlemen, they have a Chipotle Mango Double IPA. They have a Chai Spiced Wheat. And then Backshore Brew, they have a Downtown Sugar Brown. I love that name, Downtown Julie Brown. And I did it all for the Chinooki.
I really liked that one when I saw it.
So I have to ask, I mean, obviously meeting these guys, you had some of their beer. Is there any beers that stood out to you during this documentary that have stuck with you, you're dying to go back and have again?
Yeah, definitely a Backshore, the Downtown Sugar Brown. Super tasty, just like a good, drinkable beer.
I also like, they have one called Fist Pumpkin Ale.
Nice.
I mean, this is why we like Danny. Like, he is literally a marketing genius. He's got such a sense of humor with, I mean, you can tell from everything in that brand is him, the way he names things, the way, you know, their website looks, the way their branding is done. Everything has got a little sense of humor to it, which we really enjoyed. And even as he's gone through such a tough time with this lawsuit, one thing, I mean, Alexis and I, we talk about it all the time, we're continually amazed, astounded that he has such an optimistic outlook and he's able to remain so passionate about the beer despite all this legal nonsense. It's really inspiring, and I think that's why we stuck with it.
Yeah, and what's cool about Backshore Brewing and the Brew Gentlemen is, so they're both like pretty small new breweries, so both of them are kind of constantly trying out new brews and brewing up new stuff and changing out taps. So at the Brew Gentlemen, we've both enjoyed immensely the chai wheat, super tasty, very refreshing. We had it this summer after we were there filming like all day outside in the hot heat, so that is super good, and we look forward to trying new beers every time we go there. We never know what's going to be on tap. It's fun for us.
We always get a growler every time we go there.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw on the website for the Brew Gentlemen, they have a section that's dedicated specifically to their experimental batches, which I really like. You know, it's, you have your flagships, you have your seasonals that everybody knows to love, you know, either all year round or that time of year, but then, you know, what's going through your mind. Now, question I have, and I know this one's really tough for me whenever anybody asks me, you mentioned your favorite beers from these two breweries. How about your favorite beers overall?
Okay, so my answer that I give everyone is I like to drink in season, and I always like to try something new, so I'm always trying different stuff. But a couple of like go-to standbys for me, I think one of the first craft beers that I ever had, because I've always spent the summers in Delaware, was Dogfish 60 and 90 minute, and then the Raison de Trois. Like, those three beers are so delicious, so good. I love them. And then we've gotten the chance to travel to Florida a lot over the past few years, and Cigar City High Ally IPA is so good. Like, it is the best. If I had the option to drink that all the time, I probably would.
Yeah. Now, with Cigar City, Steph, Wayne, and we're family. Our grandfather lives in Naples, so we're relatively familiar with Cigar City and other Florida
Every
breweries.
time I go down to visit him, we go to Funky Buddha, we go to Cigar City. Love it.
I love it. Yeah, it's so good. Chip and I, like, every time we get to go to Florida, we're like, we need High Ally immediately.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I think last time, I don't remember the exact name because they're all so crazy, but we had like a coffee espresso stout there.
Oh, it was so good.
The sun was shining. It was a beautiful beer. It was so good. We loved it. It was just wonderful.
Doesn't get much better than that. But Chip, what's your favorite beer then?
Oh man, that's so hard.
I hate being asked that
I
question.
aim for the hard-hitting questions. I know.
Yeah. Maybe not so much in the winter, but in the summer, my favorite beer to drink, because both Alexis and I lived in Bethany Beach for the last 2 years in Delaware. I love the Twin Lakes Pale Ale that they make. It's like my go-to beer. We go on bike rides. We have a Twin Lakes Pale Ale, and I think it might have a little something to do with nostalgia. I think Twin Lakes, we interviewed the owner and the brewer there, and I think it was one of our first interviews that we ever filmed for this movie. So maybe there's a little nostalgia there too and fond memories. But I really love that beer, and I always get it anytime we're in Delaware.
I have one more quick question. I know you guys have interviewed more than 100 different breweries, and beyond the 2 that are featured in this film, are there any other breweries out there that you feel also have a great story, or that maybe aren't as well known and people should go reach out and check them out? Is there any other brewery that's stuck with you?
Sure, definitely. When we were in Florida, we got a chance to chat with Seventh Son.
Oh, yes.
And so when we talked with them, they were kind of, in the works of expanding, and right now they are kind of blowing up, which is super exciting. We also got a chance to chat with Wicked Weed right after they came back from GABF, and they had just won a few medals, I think. So that's in North Carolina, and I know people are really excited about those brews.
Yeah, another one, it was pretty interesting. About a year into filming, this whole craft beer explosion movement really came to our hometown that we grew up in. So we both grew up in Howard County, Maryland, and we found out that there was a brewery called Jailbreak Brewing Company opening in Laurel, Maryland, which is right where we grew up. So that was very cool for us to realize that this project that we had been working on for so long had actually come to our hometown. And those guys we filmed an interview with, and they're just both awesome dudes, super passionate about craft beer. So, there's so many stories I wish we could have told with this movie, but you got to cut it down to 75 minutes. And how do you make those difficult choices? We could definitely make 4, 5, 10 more movies.
Make it a series.
Yeah. Well, in that vein, do you think if you guys find another story that's worth telling, you might make another documentary about it?
Yeah, we're definitely open. We're just kind of after finally wrapping this movie up and coming kind of out of this creative bubble where we only focused on this movie for the past 2 years of our lives, we're kind of just open to inspiration and seeing what happens next.
Very, very cool. Well, I know you guys, you've got a lot of publicity to do with all this, and I'm very excited to see it. I'm jealous that Steph is heading down to the premiere. I won't be able to make it, but I look forward to seeing it online. So the website again was bloodsweatbeermovie.com. Twitter is bloodsweatbrew at bloodsweatbrew. You guys are on Facebook, right, too?
Yep, we're on Facebook. It's Blood Sweat Beer the movie, and we're also on Instagram at Blood Sweat Beer movie.
And I also saw you guys have an email address listed. Do you guys mind if I give that out?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so we have bloodsweatbeermovie at gmail.com. Now, curious, if people were to email you, what would you like to get in email?
We have free beer for you.
Those are the emails I like too.
Best
Perfect.
email ever.
Yeah, free beer, screen the movie here, or here's a distribution deal for you to get the movie out there. These are things we love to get.
Of course.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, we love to hear what other people are drinking, great beer bars or breweries to check out. And of course, if you want to bring Blood, Sweat, and Beer, the documentary, to your hometown, we would love to come visit.
Well, Philly has an awesome beer week that I think you guys should check out. And if you find yourselves coming to Philly, let us know. We can give you all the best spots and events to try out, and even in the suburbs as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Sounds awesome.
Do it. That sounds great.
Awesome. Alexis, Chip, thank you so much for reaching out to us and coming on the show tonight. We really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for having us.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Wayne, pick a number, 1, 2, or 3.
7.
Okay. This is going to end in a second, and then I'll hit another one. What do we have on tap today?
Well, don't miss the genre-defying deadly game of cat and mouse where the hunter becomes the hunted and only one can survive in the all-new exclusive that will keep you guessing until the very end. Happy Funtime Games. Today, we indulge in a cinematic theme with a brand new game called Lights, Camera, Beer. In honor of our guests today, Chip and Alexis, the documentary filmmakers. Product placement has a long history in Hollywood. It can range from the laughably blatant endorsement that would only compel all but the most mouth-breathy viewers to avoid said products.
Mouth-breathy?
Yes. To the subtle and tasteful that adds a measure of realism to a story. After all, no one ever walks into a bar and orders a beer or a gas station for a pack of smokes. So having real products in your shows and movies makes them a little more realistic. And as craft beer becomes more popular among the general screen-watching public, some craft brews have showed up in scenes in films and popular TV shows. I've gathered 4 TV shows and 4 breweries. Your job will be to decide which brewery's product got some delicious screen time in which show.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. And we're going to begin to probably the most TV-educated among us.
The winner.
Can
we just declare him the winner?
So, wait a minute. Are these real beers or fake beers?
Oh, these are absolutely real beers.
Not every game is libation or fabrication.
No, this is true.
It may be his favorite.
Yes, but these are all real beers.
Okay.
Actually, breweries. So there's 4 breweries. The breweries are Stone, Southern Tier, Dogfish Head, and Firestone Walker.
Okay.
Okay? I'm going to tell you a show, and you have to tell me which of those breweries had beers appear on screen.
You should
in
probably
that show.
just give me the names. Stone,
Southern Tier, Dogfish Head, and Firestone Walker. That's Stone, Southern Tier, Dogfish Head, and Firestone Walker.
I'm not writing them down because I can remember 4 names.
I can't.
John can remember 4
Good
things.
for you.
He's already got an advantage. So we're going to start with you. To my left, Dan. And this show is Weeds. And this show is when a suburban mother turns to dealing marijuana in order to maintain her privileged lifestyle after her husband dies, she finds out just how addicted her entire neighborhood already is in this lighter shade of Breaking Bad from 2005 to 2012. Which of those breweries got screen time in that show?
I'm going to go Stone.
Dan is going to go Stone.
Can
Steph,
you
what do
tell
think?
me where the show took place?
I don't recall. Middle
I
America?
I know. Can I tell her?
Yeah, tell her.
Took place in California.
Took place in
Stone.
California. God damn it, John.
Yep.
I'm going to go Sierra Nevada.
That's not one of the choices.
What the
I couldn't remember.
I thought you could remember 4 things.
You said Sierra Nevada in there.
No, I said Stone, Southern Tier.
Oh, that's why I heard Southern Tier and I thought
Dogfish
Southern
Head or
Nevada.
Firestone Walker.
I should have written it down.
Yeah, you should have written it down.
Right down. I can remember 4 names.
You know what?
I tried to.
Yeah, that's all right.
My name's John Gillespie.
So you're going to say Sierra
In
Nevada?
that case, I'm going to go with Stone.
All right. And finally, Andrew.
I'm gonna bring it in, and I'm gonna say Stone as well.
Oh, and everybody is absolutely correct. Rather
Yep.
appropriately, Stone beers, not just because they're in
Stone.
California,
Duh.
but because they're stoned, appears, including Arrogant Bastard and their Pale Ale, making several cameos, and a main character sports a Stone t-shirt at one point in this area.
Wait, so now that Stone was an answer, is that not a possibility, or can it be reused?
It could be reused.
Oh.
You never know.
Making it complex.
Yes, and one of the shows may have 2 answers.
Oh.
Oh, you
Moving along to Steph, and this show is Orange is the New Black. The story of Piper Chapman, a woman in her 30s who is sentenced to 15 months in prison after being convicted of a decade-old crime of transporting money for her drug-dealing girlfriend. This Netflix original features several characters who are not in prison enjoying craft brews from what brewery?
I don't watch that show.
Orange is the New Black.
Where does it take place?
I have no idea. I don't watch that show.
Oh, I'm gonna say Dogfish Head.
Steph is going to say Dogfish Head. John, what do you think?
Sierra Nevada.
I'm
making fun of myself. Okay.
Negative points.
Southern Tier.
Southern Tier says John and Andrew, who may or may not be cheating because he's sitting closest to me.
Oh no, I'm blind. I can't see that. I'm gonna go with Southern Tier as well.
You
Actually,
can go Southern Tier as well. And finally, Dan.
I'm going to go with Southern Tier because it takes place in New York.
Dan, who knows it takes place in New York. And Dan, John, and Andrew, you are correct.
Hey-o.
Another answer would have been Stone, but Steph, you didn't get either of those right. Some of Piper's friends on the outside enjoy Southern Tier IPA and Stone IPA, whilst being all unfaithful, moody, and sometimes just generally weird. Moving on to John and our third television show. What beer features in this one? This one is Reno 911 from the funny folks of MTV's The State. Ran from 2003 to 2009, took an irreverent look at what goes on behind the scenes in the city of Reno's police department, and featured many beers from a particular brewery.
Such a great show.
It was a good show.
I forgot the 4th brewery.
It was not
Stone,
Sierra Nevada.
Firestone Walker, Southern Tier,
Oh,
Dogfish
man.
Head, and Sierra Nevada.
Firestone Walker.
John is staying Firestone Walker. Andrew, what's your guess?
Reno. I'm gonna go with Stone.
You're going to go with Stone? Okay, Dan, what do you think?
So now here's a question. If I give you 2 answers and one is correct, do I get that 1 point?
Maybe you'll get half. Because there's only 4 options.
I know, but does this one have multiple answers?
No.
Firestone.
All right, Dan is saying Firestone, and finally Steph.
I'm going to stay Firestone just because Dan watched the show and that's what he guessed.
You are all wrong. Everybody
wrong.
is wrong.
Southern
the
Tier?
answer was Dogfish Head.
Oh, man.
Dogfish Head beer show up repeatedly on the show. In fact, the only beers that appear on camera are Dogfish beers because Sam Calgione is buddies and ex-roommates with Tom Lennon.
No.
And the rest
way.
of the state comedy troupe.
No way.
Yeah, he actually knows them.
Well, that's
And
pretty
so that's
cool.
why it was in the show. Yeah.
Tom Lennon will be on a remake of The Odd Couple on CBS next week.
Nice. The
I
state
don't
also
know things about TV.
The cast of the state / Reno 911 also did a video promo for a film festival contest thing that Dogfish had sponsored back in 2009.
No way.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
big connection there. But nobody got it right. Moving on to Andrew for our fourth and final television show / beer brewery. And this one is Parks and Recreation.
Oh,
It was
no.
the absurd antics of an Indiana town's public officials as they pursue sundry projects to make their city a better place. The show that made me actually like Amy Poehler. It's a great show. It really is.
It is a good show.
It's incredibly funny, and it has a lot of heart.
Doesn't it
and
take place in
genuineness
Indiana?
Without being cheesy. It takes place in Indiana. Which of our breweries today are featured on screen in that show?
You said it's from Indiana?
Yes.
Like to poll the audience, please.
Nope, you can't phone a friend. You got to pick. It's not
50-50.
Sierra Nevada. It's Stone, Southern Tier, Dogfish Head, or Firestone Walker.
I'll go Southern Tier.
Gonna go with Southern Tier. Moving it over to Dan. What do you think it was?
I'm going to go Firestone.
Dan is gonna go Firestone the Walker.
See,
Steph?
I was thinking Firestone because it hasn't been a right answer yet. But
It could be a red herring.
it could, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because he knows how much I love David Walker and how I think he's so dreamy. So he probably just threw that in there. I'm going to say Dogfish Head.
Steph's gonna say Dogfish Head, and finally, John, what's your answer?
Well, Andrew and I are either going to win together or go down together. I'm going to go Southern Tier.
You're gonna go
because it's
Southern
closest
Tier.
geographically.
Go down in flames
Damn it.
together.
I'm sorry, Doc.
Dan was
Misled
correct. It was Firestone Walker. The show
Oh.
features at least one scene in a bar where Firestone Walker tap handles are visible. There is actually another Indiana brewery that features more often on the show. Bonus points if anybody knows what it is.
Flat 12 Beer Works.
I was about to say Flat
Nope.
12.
Nope.
Damn.
Nope. Anybody?
Can't
You
think
probably
of any
don't.
other Indiana
'Cause
breweries
That's what I
right
was
now.
about to say.
I've never heard of it.
Three Floyds?
I've never heard of it.
Oh, that's not. That's Illinois, isn't
yeah.
it?
Indiana Brewing Company.
Nope. Nope.
I tried.
No, it repeats.
Great Lakes.
It repeatedly features beers from Indiana's own Upland Brewing.
Oh, Upland, of course.
Much more oft-occurring and appropriate. But I went with Firestone Walker because it's just a more known brand, and it did appear
Yeah.
on the show. So I am going to add up the points real quick.
Dan won,
and Steph
as
is
we
gonna
predicted.
Double check
Why
my
do we even play
math
this game?
And I lost.
and see who.
I was thinking Firestone Walker because it hadn't come on, and then I was
My
like,
thought
no,
exactly.
wait. Wayne's in my head. He knows too well. But if I just thought what I was thinking, then I would have thought it.
I will tell you that this game was not that clever because I actually did all of it earlier today.
Wow.
So
Well, it's not a good game.
You
'cause
don't
didn't
have to
Sierra
admit
Nevada.
that.
no, but so Dan won with 3 whole points. Close second was John with
If
2
I
points.
can name 3 other craft beer appearances on TV shows, do I get an extra point?
Maybe I'd be interested to hear them.
Sierra Nevada on Friends.
And
What do you mean?
Sierra Nevada also on more recently
More
Can
recently.
I jump in?
with a poorly executed beard.
Can I
Not
jump
you.
in? Can I jump in?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know.
Big Bang Theory. Will
Yes.
I don't
Will
watch that
Wheaton.
show. I don't like
Will
that show.
Wheaton.
Anyway,
Continue.
I don't watch TV.
Sierra Nevada on Friends, and that's a good one because that's an old one. 3 different breweries showed up on The Walking Dead.
Yes.
They have a ton
Yes.
of craft beer on The Walking Dead.
Well, there was one
Sweetwater.
episode where they had like a room full
Yeah,
of old cases.
it was
of beer.
all craft beer. Sweetwater was on The Walking Dead,
I would imagine that.
and then
Wasn't Sweet Baby Jesus one of them?
most of them are Southern beers.
Okay.
Which I was gonna say, I'm really disappointed that you didn't have Walking Dead.
I was going to.
because they're all Southern beers which mixes really well with what we had today.
That's
Come on,
true.
Wayne.
That's
Come on.
true. All right.
Then Dogfish Head was on Brewmasters.
that doesn't count.
That's a little bit of a stretch.
That totally counts.
Interesting note for Dan. Apparently, there's an episode of The Simpsons where Milhouse's parents get lost at sea or something.
Yes.
And Homer keeps mistakenly mentioning nautical-themed products like Captain Crunch and da-da-da-da.
It was a tragic hot air balloon accident.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
So Marge says, stop naming things that have something to do with the ocean or whatever. So he's like, I'm going to go down to Moe's and drown my sorrows in an Anchor Steam beer.
Wow.
I get it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, Dan, you won. That's pretty good.
Hey, look at me winning for once. Yay. Well, on that
Bombshell.
On that bombshell, it's time to learn something.
Your beers. No. Know your beers.
Steph, what do we have?
So I was recently searching the interwebs, and I came across a beer site out of San Francisco, California called realbeer.com. Pretty cool site. I discovered an interesting article about hangovers. We all know that hangovers can be avoided. Simply don't drink. Or perhaps don't drink too much. But when a hangover is unavoidable, how can we recover quickly? Well, first, what causes hangover? First, drinking alcohol, obviously. Second, dehydration. Alcohol is a diuretic, and it makes you urinate and flushes fluids from the body. Minimize
diarrhea.
Dehydration.
Delilaria.
Minimize dehydration by drinking plenty of water. A headache is a symptom of dehydration. Third, some alcohol is actually worse than others. Let's list them from worst to least in descending order of likelihood to cause a hangover.
If beer isn't the best, this is going to be really disappointing.
The worst is brandy. Next, red wine, then rum, then whiskey, then beer, then white wine, gin, and last, vodka.
Mm-hmm. Is there? You're probably going to say it. Is there a reason that some are worse than others?
Well, according to the British Medical Journal, drinking bourbon is twice as likely to cause a hangover than the same amount of vodka. I don't know why. Huh. Sorry.
Okay.
Fourth.
Dark colors.
Could be.
Perhaps.
That does seem to be a trend. The darker it
Yeah.
is.
Seem to be a correlation.
go
But
darker to
correlation
lighter.
does not equal causation.
Fourth.
Deep.
Different drinks affect different people differently. If you are allergic to yeast, for instance, unfiltered beer may leave you with a terrible headache. Certain people are sensitive to sulfur dioxide, an antioxidizing agent added to many wines to keep them fresh. Others get headaches from the chemical substance found in dark grape skins. Next, some people believe that mixing drinks can cause hangovers. I don't know. And finally, the rate at which one absorbs alcohol can depend on your mood. Increased adrenaline pushes alcohol through the system much faster, so feeling depressed or even very happy can make you drunk faster.
That
So,
explains it.
How can we prevent hangovers?
Bacon.
First, consider your height, weight, and personal tolerance for alcohol when drinking. Second, some recommend drinking a glass of milk to start the evening to slow down the absorption of alcohol, protecting your stomach against irritation.
Wouldn't that like curdle in your stomach though?
No. Third, never drink on an empty stomach. Food helps to absorb some of the alcohol and aids the body in digesting it faster. Consider eating really starchy food. Next, limit yourself to less than 1 drink per hour and drink a glass of water between each beer you order. And finally, back in the 60s, it was believed that a large dose of vitamin B could prevent hangovers. Why not give it a try?
You know what else does? A large dose of Citra ass down.
Is that foreshadowing?
Yes.
So, too late. I'm hungover. Now what? First, sleep.
Yeah.
Allow your body to recover. Second, keep drinking water. Yep. Next, eat. Complex carbohydrates like bread and pasta will raise your blood sugar level. Bananas are great because they contain complex carbohydrates, potassium, and vitamin C. If your stomach isn't ready for food, try chamomile tea. Next, exercise to sweat out the alcohol out of your system. And if that doesn't work, you can always try the middle-aged mixture of bitter almonds and raw eel.
Oh.
Exercise.
Who is exercising with a hangover?
That's what you get.
Also,
Raw eel is
who's
okay.
eating
Unless,
eel?
unless you count masturbation.
Why does it always end in masturbation with you?
Doesn't everything?
It's either that or tears, my friend. I got to get by somehow.
No.
Doesn't that happen at the same time?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
So going back to our earlier tasting segment, we finally have the answer to our question. Thank you, Kirby, for emailing me back. He said, I asked him what hops are in Hop Suplex, and he said if he told me, he'd have to kill me. No, just kidding. In the boil, they add Cascade, Columbus, and Crystal.
That's a lot of
and
C's.
multiple Chinook
Wow.
additions.
There you go, guys.
Is that every C hop?
Well,
Citra.
almost.
Citra.
They dry hop with
Centennial.
Chinook, Columbus, and Crystal, both during primary and secondary fermentation. So that's a total of 61 pounds of hops per 15 barrels.
Holy cow!
I think we need a scientific expedition to explore why so many hops names start with C.
With C.
Chinook, Columbus, Citra, Cascade,
Centennial.
I want more
Chicago.
Chamomile.
Shish kebab. So
Chicago.
So we
Now-
are now drinking. This is 4 from Straight to Ale out of Huntsville, Alabama. This is their 4th anniversary beer. It's an 8% Imperial Red Ale because I think Andrew is trying to get us drunk.
This is delicious.
That's what Big Brothers are for.
It's what we do. I think it's amazing.
Ooh.
It's got a
Ooh.
great.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. It's got a nice a bitter bite
Oh,
in
yeah.
the back.
Oh, yeah.
With a little
Finishes-
spiciness to it.
You get like a touch of sweetness, and then it's like,
and it's like nope.
And then there's the hops.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very bitter on the backside.
It's
Nice.
like when your dominatrix like gives you a soft tender kiss and then like smacks you across the face.
I haven't seen
afterwards.
50 Shades of Grey. How was it?
I don't know what that is, but that's what this reminds me of.
This is nice.
This is really nice. It's an Imperial Red Ale.
Imperial Red
very,
Ale.
very good.
Very good.
And I mean, there was, like I said, I did some research for all of these beers. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of information to find on a lot of them. This was the one that it was basically just a void. I mean, it was. I think it's a one-off because it was an anniversary ale that would make sense. They only brewed it once for their 4th anniversary, and it's got Satan on the front. Other than that, I'm not really sure much about it. But Straight to Ale was Huntsville. Did we just say that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that Beelzebub makes an appearance on a lot of Straight to Ales,
Yeah.
Artwork, and
I'm cool with it.
They really do a good job.
Get onto
the making
bus.
it feel kind of evil when you
Yeah.
drink it. Pretty good.
This is really good. I mean,
very good.
it's got a lot of things going on. It's got the sort of multi character of like a red ale in there, but like Steph said, it smacks you.
They have a beer called Monkey's Uncle, and it's a monkey with like a pipe and glasses and like a Hawaiian shirt. I freaking love
Is that their
this.
website? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So-
This is awesome.
Since you're the only one who's actually been there, Andrew, tell us about Huntsville, Alabama.
Well, Huntsville, Alabama is like it's very unique because it's not like any other town in Alabama because there is basically I'd say about 60% of the town is employed by one company, the Arsenal, which of course is government and it's research for a bunch of different aerospace and there's all sorts of there's UAH there, which is the University of Alabama in Huntsville. They put out a lot of engineering students and then a lot of them turn around and work in Huntsville on the Arsenal. So that's what we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier. There are several breweries that have started up in Huntsville that are started by engineers, and that's it's a real common education people get into brewing. So
And that makes sense. Engineers and chemists.
And I
Yeah.
love
Engineers
that
and
they're
chemists.
called Straight to Ale.
Yeah.
Not brewery, not brewing company.
They're just called.
Yeah, it's
Straight
just
to
Straight
Ale.
to Ale.
Love it.
Well, I mean, I think we're gonna have to see more and more. Well, their Facebook page says Straight to Ale Brewing.
It does? No.
It's right in front of you, Steph.
I think
Oh, no, this is their Facebook page.
That's
That's what you just said.
I thought you said their website.
I
Their
guess-
website says just Straight to Ale.
Yeah.
And their contact
Well-
information is Straight to Ale.
right, and that is cool. I mean, I think more breweries are gonna
Andrew
have
is
to distinguish themselves.
inspecting the bottle.
It's on Facebook. It's Facebook official.
it's
Facebook
totally
official.
true. I'm pretty sure that I just popped my cherry for Imperial Red Ales. I don't think I've ever had one before.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
I think that's my
Red.
very first one.
I think I did Ballast Point. I did as a new brew review. I can't think of any others offhand.
It's always good to pop cherries.
Always good.
No doubt.
This beer is. I
Oh,
really
shizzle.
like this beer.
This is
I think
fantastic.
it's really, really good.
It's not quite an IPA, but it's
Yeah, it's got like the hop character.
It is.
there.
It's weird.
but it's got that red ale maltiness. That sort of like that, almost like herbal, but not hop herbal.
Yeah.
Like malty herbal
airableness.
herbalness. It's really good. It's an awesome color.
It's a beautiful. I was about to say it's the beautiful, amber color to it.
Yeah. This is. I hope they serve beer in hell. And
There is a
Be nice.
surprising number of breweries that make the connection between Satan, Lucifer, the fallen angel, whatever you want to call it, and beer. I mean, and that
Yeah.
goes back a long way. Duval is I don't know what's the language, as Steph doesn't look at me.
Martian.
Martian. Duval is whatever language that is, but Duval is
Isn't
devil.
it Duval?
Duval, whatever.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
Duval?
Duval
Duval.
is devil.
I thought it
Okay.
was Duval.
Duval?
I thought it was spelled Duval, but it's anyway. But that's devil in another
Right.
language. There's a beer called Lucifer
Right.
that I've tried. That's also a import. I don't know what that is.
But yeah, there's Helltown.
Hell's Hound. Yeah, that's a great one.
Helltown. Is that what you just said, or Hellhound?
Exactly
Hellhound.
what I just said was Helltown.
I thought you said Hellhound,
Did
and then
not
I
say
said
Hellhound.
Helltown. And I was like, wait, he may have just said Helltown.
No, wait. There is a Hellhound.
They're very
I
well
think there's
maybe.
both.
That's by
Yeah.
Dogfish Head. I know. I have that beer. That's a good beer. Or Devil on My Heels. I don't know. I can't remember what it is.
The Devil Wears Prada.
What just happened?
I'm still trying to formulate an opinion on this.
Really? I
Still
love
trying
it.
to figure out what it is.
I
That's
love
the thing.
it.
I don't know. Like, I know what they label it as. My taste buds are confused.
Yeah, like it finishes. It's got the aftertaste of an IPA.
Yeah.
It finishes bitter, but it comes in and like you said, like it's a teasing sweetness that goes away.
It doesn't feel like an IPA though. That's
Yeah.
the thing. So it finishes like one, but the
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
feel
not
like
an
it.
the
IPA,
mouthfeel
it's
is
a red
really
ale.
different.
But it's an
But
imperial.
it finishes like an IPA.
It does. It has like an aftertaste of like an IPA. But I love it. This is awesome. Do we know the ABV on this one?
A lot.
7.
That's not too bad. Considering
Well, I don't know. One
that's
place I
downright
looked said
sessionable
7 and one
compared to
said
the
8.
rest.
It could be 7. It could be 8.
One place I looked said 7, the other said 24. So I'm not really
That's somewhere
probably
in between.
there somewhere.
somewhere in
Does
that
it say
range.
7 on here? Did you guys find that
I
online?
looked. I didn't see
It
anything
should.
on there.
I found it online.
Well, we just learned something. Alabama does not require alcohol
No one
percentages.
does.
No one does? I thought
In
At
fact,
some
they-
places, it's illegal. You're not allowed
Prior
to put the
to
ABV.
about 1995, you were not allowed to put the alcohol content because because a lot of the laws are based around not using the intoxication factor as a selling point. So you can't say like this will get you shit-faced imperial red ale or whatever. Like that's not allowed.
Which is not cool because if it's
Damn
something
Puritans.
that can get you drunk, people
Well, I
need
think
to be aware.
the ABV. I think
Yeah,
that the
that's
concern
exactly
was
true.
not that it makes sense, but the idea behind that was that you didn't
You
want to
didn't want
put,
people going to
you know,
find the highest alcohol.
10%
Yeah.
ass kicking lager. Like you didn't
Yeah.
want to. They don't want that to be the.
See, and
promotional
sometimes
aspect.
I'm out and I don't want to drink a high ABV
And you
beer,
wanna
so
know.
I
Yeah.
look
You
for
wanna know.
something that's
Well,
specifically
that's why I
low.
always ask.
But I
what's
feel
the
like it
ABV
should-
on this because I'm
I
curious
feel like-
to know how fast I should drink.
Yeah. I
Or
feel
how
like now
slow.
it should be required to put the ABV on there because, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. Who is going to say, no, we don't want people to know what alcohol our beers are? That's
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and
it really ought to
it
be.
feels like it just feels like informing the consumer.
Yeah, I think, and I feel like most craft, beers do have it on.
Yeah.
there.
Most of them do.
Sometimes though, I mean, I've come across a fair number that I'm like,
Yeah.
it's nowhere on here, which is surprising.
Whoa.
And that sexy sound, ladies and gentlemen, was our next beer to come to the table, which is
Oh yes.
This is Gotta Get Up to Get Down by Wiseacre out of Memphis, Tennessee, and it is their 5% ABV coffee milk stout in a can.
Oh, this is only 5?
5%
This one
coffee
did
milk
not come
stout
from
in a
the
can.
high-
No,
Steph is
no, I
bogarting
bought-
a can.
I bought this on
Tried.
the other side of
Tried.
the store.
Diva.
Did you just call me a diva?
I
beer
did.
beer diva.
Beer diva.
That might be the first time those two words have ever been put together.
Probably not.
Steph, were you able to find like any information about Wiseacre? I'm actually haven't done much research about Wiseacre, online, but they just recently came to Nashville. I mean, literally probably within the last, probably 6 weeks, and they have just exploded into our bars, into our grocery stores. I mean, they are just everywhere now. And this was the very first Wiseacre beer I ever had on draft at a bar just down the street from my office, and it is probably the most intense coffee, stout I've ever had.
Well, I'll tell you that they have a beer called Unicornucopia, and it's a saison with blueberries and grains of paradise.
That's something
Everything
you
is
would
in
want.
cans.
Yeah. The research that I did. This was the one that I found the most information on. Their brewer is originally from Chicago, and he brewed this beer. According to an article I saw on there, he brewed this beer for a Chicago beer festival, and it beat Three Floyd's double IPA, which the name is escaping me right now. It also beat Bourbon County by Goose Island to take first place in that festival.
It smells so
Gonna
good.
pat- Come on now.
What?
Share the love. Oh, that smell.
Oh my God! It smells
Yeah, it
amazing.
smells phenomenal.
There's only one can.
It smells just like opening up a fresh bag of coffee and sticking
It
your
does.
nose in
Yes,
it.
it
That is
does.
that is exactly what, like a French roast. Just stick your nose straight into the bag of French roast coffee.
And the only other beer that I've come across that has given me that like fresh bag of coffee was COB
Yep,
Yeah.
I was gonna say
by
yep.
Free Will.
This
That
is
was-
so good.
That was
very
going to be
similar.
the first thing I said, is because you guys know how much I love COB.
Yeah.
It's I've said it's my favorite beer for like the last few months. This definitely gives it a run for its money.
It certainly does. And
because
this is
it's-
a milk stout.
Oh my God.
correct?
this is a milk stout, so it's a different take on a coffee
Yeah.
dark beer. But God, oh my God, I love
Wayne,
it
did
so
you take a
much.
sip yet?
So
I did.
happy.
It's so
Oh,
freaking
this is
good.
amazing.
Amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rockin' Gravy.
It's so good. You
well, I'm
win.
glad you guys agree with me.
Andrew wins.
Yeah.
He's the winner of the episode because this is awesome.
You win
This
it, dear.
is fantastic.
and if you get their joke with the name, got to get up to get down is some
Gotta
kind
get
of
up
jazz
to
music,
down.
but also you got to get up with caffeine
To
to
get
get down
down.
with alcohol.
I guess.
See what they did there.
Up all night to get lucky.
Different kind of up.
Really.
And there it is.
This is so good though.
This is
Like,
delicious.
For as much as the smell smells like the fresh bag of coffee, though, the taste, it's not as bitter as you'd expect it to be. It really,
Absolutely.
it has the
Doesn't-
coffee flavor, but it really rounds itself out.
It doesn't get the acidity from coffee that some coffee beers do.
Yeah, it's like
just-
cold press. Have you ever
Yeah.
had cold press coffee?
Yeah,
That's
yep.
what this
Yes.
tastes like.
Very similar.
It's so good.
It is. It's almost like a carbonated. Like if you were to go to like a coffee shop and order a really nice like latte or some whatever fancy coffee drink, like that's what it reminds me of. Like it's
Yeah,
I would drink this every day on the way to work.
Yes.
in the car.
Yes.
Just kidding.
He didn't just say that, folks. No,
well, it is only 5%. So I mean, knock yourself
Still
out.
not legal in the car.
I could be taking the bus. Come on. I could be taking the bus or a taxi.
But yeah, so just I think we can talk for a second just in general about Southern beer as a whole, since Andrew's living there and I'm getting ready to go live there. Sorry, and I think it's interesting because we obviously grew up in Roanoke, Virginia, which is most people consider the South, but if you go further south than there, they'll call you a Yankee if you're from Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Which is a weird dichotomy because people up here call me a redneck, but
Can't win.
I can't win.
Damned if you do.
But Southern beer, I mean, I think it's not a stretch at all to say it's the fastest growing segment of the craft industry in America. Not necessarily because there's more drive for it there, but simply because it's the last to the table. I mean, you think of the Northwest, the Southwest, the Northeast. These all have thriving, booming craft beer scenes already. The Midwest certainly does. But the Southeast, of course, I mean, Andrew's wearing a shirt tonight that you can't
is
see. It's
solid
under,
gray.
It's under his sweatshirt, but that's I think I mentioned this once on the program.
Free
That's
the hops.
That was the advocacy group to make homebrewing finally legal in
Yay.
Alabama.
Yay.
And so within his time of living there, which was just the last couple of years, homebrewing was still illegal in the state of Alabama and Mississippi. So it's coming along slowly, but it's finally starting to pick up steam. And the styles that are coming out of the Southeast, I think, are very interesting because you get a lot more beers meant for hot weather. Obviously, I think you get a lot of smoked beers with the very strong barbecue scene from places like Nashville and Memphis. I've been very impressed with everything that's coming out of the South. I mean, the big players, Sweetwater, Abita out of
yeah,
New Orleans.
they've got some very good beers.
Yazoo is a big player. They're coming along. It's very exciting, and of course, Asheville, North Carolina, which is beer mecca.
Wicked.
It's Ashland, North Carolina is like the Denver of the Southeast. I mean, it's exploding. Actually, the company that I work for, I get to see some of the new buildings and structures that companies are putting up around the country. And while I was working in Alabama, it was Sierra Nevada put a new facility in Ashland.
Asheville, yeah.
Asheville, thank you. And I mean that town is just a beer mecca.
Yeah. Sierra Nevada built a new one there. Oscar Blues built a new one there. Stone is building a new one in Richmond. It's the Southeast is definitely coming along. It's very exciting.
And if you go to beerbusterspodcast.com and check out our Beer Venture series, you will find a series of articles that Steph wrote on breweries just in Asheville.
And the one from Wicked Weed is one of our top viewed articles on our website.
It is.
Wetting whistles at Wicked Weed.
And within a few months, there will be more and more articles about Nashville breweries popping up.
Yes, indeed.
From this guy.
Andrew, you're going to
say
write
Andrew.
those?
Yeah.
we could do Nashville and some of the Alabama breweries as well.
Very true.
Good
Yeah,
people. Good people down in Birmingham is making phenomenal beer.
Who's the one that makes Pig? Something
Naked Pig.
Naked Pig.
Yeah, that's a brewery in Gadsden. Back 40.
Back 40.
Back 40 Brewery. They are actually I met the owner at a brew pub not too far outside of out of Gadsden, and he's a young guy. I mean, he's probably not much older than us. He's just making good beer.
Yep. And I mean, you guys mentioned Florida. You have a very strong connection, which also distributes very heavily into that area. I think Florida was probably kind of the pioneer for that region of just getting good beers out there because their distribution to get to the rest of the country has to start by going through the Southeast. So, Cigar City and the rest down there.
I just think it's funny how, and this is completely unrelated, sort of, how like the Southeast, like the old South, is like
Dixie.
Alabama, Louisiana, all that, Georgia, and then there's Florida,
Yeah,
which is just like separate. Like it's not even part of it.
Yeah, it's Alabama and Georgia. And
it's because everybody that lives in Florida is not from Florida.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Very few of them.
They're all from the Northeast, and they all buy the highest ABV beers that Weyerbacher has to offer because that's all they distribute in Florida.
Yeah, we found that out.
Hey, John, what do we got next for the table?
Well, thank you for asking, Wayne. Because next up we have Sit Your Ass Down by Against the Grain Brewing in Louisville, Kentucky.
They're not from Maryland, are they?
They are not from Maryland, as far as we know.
But so some charlatans may have you believe that they are.
Some foolish people. And for the record, for any people out there listening who have not been to Kentucky, it's Louisville.
Not Louisville.
Don't call it Louisville. At least not if you're going to go visit there. They won't appreciate it very much. It's
Louisville.
like coming up to Pennsylvania and saying, I'm going to go visit Lebanon
And
after
Reading.
I visit
Lancaster.
Reading and stop in Lancaster. Everyone will look at you like you are a fool.
And this is an 8%
Philadelphia.
ABV India Pale Ale.
I have to find an empty glass to pour it in. Yes, 8%.
I'm excited for this one.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this.
I'm assuming it has Citra in it.
That would probably make sense.
That would be my first
what
guess.
makes you-
That
This
is
is a
that's what it says on the
This
tin.
is a very hop forward American style IPA brewed with pale Vienna,
Wow,
Munich,
hop
and
forward.
wheat malt for a solid base for all American hops, focusing mainly on Citra. Citra hops are a relatively new variety introduced in 2008, and it was bred as a hybrid of a number of hops, including Hallertauer, Tettnanger, East Kent Golding, Bavarian, Brewer's Gold, and other unknown hops. The resulting hop, Citra, has a distinct citrusy and tropical fruit flavor and aroma. In Citra Down, they used Columbus for bittering and 11 pounds of Citra at the end of the boil for late kettle addition, flavor, and aroma.
What is
then
that in
they added
kilograms?
6 more pounds of Citra and 5 pounds of Centennial post-fermentation for aroma. Rebrewed for your tasting pleasure.
And my guess is Sierra Nevada.
This is good. It's very dank.
This is dank.
It's got that cat pissiness at the
Yeah.
end that I love.
Yep, it's Citra.
Yeah.
All I
This
get
is-
is cat piss now. Come on.
Dude, but it's good, isn't it?
It's good cat piss.
I love it.
You know
If
the
I
bet-
want cat piss, I'm going to lick my cat's litter box.
But see, that's unsanitary. You can get it in your beer and not have to worry about herpes. Or
My
hepatitis.
cat does not have herpes or
Or
hepatitis.
That's what you think.
Honduras. It's one of those H things.
Honduras. Anyway.
Wow.
This is really good. I do
This
really
is
like this.
very, very good. That was the first thing I was going to say when I smelled it. Wow, that smells like cat piss. Mm-hmm. In a good way. That's dank as...
Because
I'll get
only when you're talking about beer can cat
Can
piss
cat
be
piss
a
smell-
pleasant
Dude,
smell.
horse blanket is a positive adjective for many beers, so you can have cat piss. That's all right.
This is what, like, if I'm going to drink like a bitter,
Now I
like,
smell it.
like super hop IPA, like crazy hops in your face or whatever. That's what I want. I want that dank, like stuff that should be gross, but it's delicious, and that's what I love.
This is really good, by the way.
Oh, yeah, the
Cheers.
I don't know if I'm sold on it.
Really? I really like it.
Oh, we have a dissenter at the table. It's gonna be like 12 Angry Men. By the end of the evening, we'll all agree with Andrew.
I do like it. I don't think it's the best IPA I've ever had, but it's very good.
I really like it.
I think the cat piss thing has really kind of got me turned.
I know.
Had we not said cat piss, though, would you think the same thing?
I feel like
Rewind and pretend you never heard
I've
those two
ruined it for
words.
everyone.
I don't know. Let me think on it here.
Think on it.
Think and drink.
I like it because it's not a big piney citrus bomb that every
Yeah.
It's not
IPA
West
can-
Coast. It's definitely.
it's different.
Yeah.
It's southern.
And this is
Southern.
no hit
It's a
on
southern
Hop
thing.
Suplex because Hop Suplex
Oh, it was brilliant.
Very
Really
but
good.
it's nice to have something different.
No, but Hop Suplex is piney and citrusy, but not all piney and citrusies have that aroma that Hop Suplex has. We've had 2 IPAs on the show tonight that are different. They're different.
Yeah.
And Hop Suplex is different because of that amazing fresh opening the bag hops. And this just because
of cat piss.
This
Because
is the,
of cat piss.
This is the litter box opening right here.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Fresh Step.
should I put my glass on the floor and see if the cats will?
Cats start like
pee in it.
Here, kitty.
So mercifully, we have one beer left. What is now in our glasses? Anybody?
This is Snowbeard by Wiseacre, which is a barley wine.
A beer.
It is a beer of the barley wine variety. 9.5% alcohol, which will make our situation all the more better. But Wiseacre, the same brewer that did Gotta Get Up to Get Down, which was the coffee
Best beer
stout,
ever.
which we exclaimed over
Phenomenal,
earlier,
yeah.
was fantastic. And have to try it. Still haven't tried it.
It smells like a.
There
Smells
is
like a
an-
barley wine.
Yeah, there's an interesting.
It's got a Belgian-y character.
There is
to
a
it.
flavor that I really like, but I cannot put my finger on what it
I'm
is.
saying there's something I can't describe in this.
I like that it's not as thick and cloying as most
Yes.
barley wines because, to be perfectly honest, of all beer styles, the
Yeah.
barley wine is probably one that I like the least. But I like
completely
this.
agree.
It's. I don't want to say thinner. I mean thinner. I mean in a good way. It's
Right.
not as cloying, but there is a flavor there.
It's like a candy,
Yeah,
like almost like a,
but not
but not like
Not
a
a
super
sweet candy.
No,
Yeah.
like a rich, like
almost like a caramel, but not a caramel.
a caramel cross with dark fruitish.
Yes,
Wait,
and I
is it-
like it.
Is it caramel
Yeah.
or caramel?
I was gonna say. It's
Well,
like
he said caramel, and I
it's like
said
he
caramel.
said caramel just counteracts the caramel.
I just say caramel because I'm not pretentious. but
Ooh. Shots fired. Shots fired.
I didn't actually mean that.
Are you a caramel snob? Do we need to?
Wow.
There's something interesting in the aroma that I can't figure out either. Maybe it's the same flavor you guys are trying to talk about. I don't know.
I kind of get like celery.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel like I should have some peanut butter right now and maybe some raisins.
There's a vegetal
Oh
character to
no,
the
there
aroma.
is. Almost
Definitely.
like cucumber dipped in caramel.
Interesting. I wonder if that would be good.
Cucumber dipped in caramel.
bet it'd be pretty good.
I couldn't even
Caramel
that'd
is
be
fine. I
pretty
just
awesome.
usually say caramel,
caramel.
but caramel's fine. This is real. What is this called? Snowbeard.
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 The label is pretty freaking awesome too.
Yeah, the label is very cool from a graphic standpoint. And
It's like Angry Gandalf.
yes. And it says on the side.
That was not Angry Gandalf.
That was perfect.
That
timing.
was Angry Captain Kirk.
It says on the side, "Taste the rarity."
Taste the rainbow.
that too.
It's
It does have a unique character to
Yeah.
it. It really does, and it is quite good.
It's very good. This Wiseacre, I mean, 2 beers from them now. Very,
Yeah,
very
they're really
excellent.
hitting home runs tonight. Absolutely.
down in Memphis. We'll go party with Elvis, drink some Wiseacre.
Memphis,
sure.
Tennessee.
That's definitely the most drinkable barley wine. As I think you were
Yeah.
hitting on earlier, Steph.
Yeah.
That's by far the most drinkable barley wine I've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like you said. It's not thick. It's not huge. It's not super rich. It's.
Oh, it's still huge. It's 9.5%.
Well, I meant huge, like potent flavor.
Yeah.
You know, it
like
really
super-
doesn't have a lot of
Syrupy.
alcohol.
It's not syrupy.
Yeah.
It's not syrupy.
It doesn't have a lot of
Yes.
alcohol burn to it either. I mean, there's not much to it there.
I will say, the barley wine is not as good when you expel it out your nose.
Okay. So Wayne, what kind of characters do you get from the nose expulsion?
Super aroma.
Do you get
Burning lung irritation.
You're not going to taste anything for about 3 days.
That wasn't that bad. It didn't actually come out my nose. It kind of like did the half like wrong pipe thing.
Oh.
But woo, I'm gonna be okay. Power through.
That's what you think.
So for future,
For posterity.
knowledge. Well, for future knowledge, bringing 4 different beers that are all about 9% plus was kind of a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't remember. What were the...
I think it was a brilliant idea.
Were the New Glarus beers high alcohol? I don't even
think
remember.
so. I think they were like 7 or 8.
I think this is just what happens when I come on your show.
Yep.
We make Dan's life a living hell, and we drink a lot of high alcohol beers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
That's why I'm awesome.
that's about right.
But the funny thing is, my favorite one was the 5% beer.
Yeah.
That was the last one, right?
That was the last
All right,
one.
thank God.
Yeah,
So
never been so happy to stop drinking.
I know this is rough, but in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Cat piss. So what are the favorites, Steph? I know you're going to say coffee beer already.
Coffee beer.
No, I was just going to tell you not.
Gotta
to
get
say
up
it,
to get
but-
down.
John, go.
Oh man, I think it's the coffee.
Andrew,
beer.
go.
Probably the coffee beer.
Wayne, go.
Well, I think no.
Gun to my head.
Yeah, coffee beer probably.
You know what? Coffee beer for me.
That was a
Wow.
That's a ringing endorsement for
Has
Wiseacre.
it ever been unanimous?
Nope.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Nope.
This is a first, but that was phenomenal. But I gotta say, all these beers tonight
Very
were
good.
fucking delicious.
Yeah, I really enjoyed every
I
one
was
of
just
them.
going to say
Very
that
good.
minus the expletive, but they were all
it
very
was
good.
necessary.
No, it was. You're right. You're right. That's why I don't believe them anymore. Yeah. John,
Can we drag this out any longer?
probably.
So Dan, how have you been?
Fuck you. That's out. No. Well, John, Andrew, thank you for getting us drunk. That's
You're welcome.
pretty much what happened. It's going to be a shame to see you go, John, but we know that it's the right thing for you.
It's the right move in my life, and it's unfortunate. I'm not happy to be leaving Southeast Pennsylvania beer, but it'll always be there in my heart with all the other places that I've lived in my life.
I meant to ask you this earlier. What happens with the book now?
So the book is not going to be a book. I guess that's the first revelation that I have to put out there. It's simply a matter of life has kind of interjected in this situation. But something's going to get done with all the research and work I put into it. All of the people who I've met who took the time out of their lives to really help me out and help me with this project that was a big passion project of mine. They're going to get rewarded. Obviously, the blog is still going. I haven't had a chance to work on it recently because there's a lot of other things going on, but that will get finished with everyone I've talked to, and then the project will still happen. It's just going to be a slightly different form, so you can keep catching up and keeping up with Beer Country.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Glad to hear, because it's a project worth seeing the light of day.
Absolutely.
And if it didn't, I would cry.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to make you cry. And Steph would beat me up, so
Well, yeah.
that's the other.
There'd be a lot of bad feelings from all around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing him cry.
What, me cry or John after Steph
I could
does whatever?
beat you all up, and then
Yeah.
you could all just cry.
Well, John and Andrew, thank you guys for coming out and bringing the stuff with you.
You're most welcome.
It was great having you
Amazing
here.
beers.
Really enjoyed
Yes.
it. It's my first experience. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
It
Thank
was
you,
good having you
Andrew.
here. It was very good having you here. I hate that you're stealing John from us, but at least we know he's in good company now. As far as I'm concerned, he gets the Beer Buster seal of approval.
The blow was a little easier with all this delicious beer.
That's true. So anytime you have bad news for us, just get us drunk first. That's all it really takes.
Send us a box of beer with a big smiley face.
Yes. Well, that sadly brings us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters, and we can't go without thanking Alexis and Chip. Make sure you
Yes.
check out Blood, Sweat, and Beer. It's going to be great. Steph, I'm sure you'll have a lot of good things to say from the
Absolutely.
premiere. But make sure you check it out. It's Alexis Irvin, Chip Hayden. Blood, Sweat, and Beer is the name of the documentary.
Another great website, gofundme.com/beerbusters.
Of
Big
course.
things coming. Help us
course.
out.
Well, I am Dan Baker, joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and our from entertainer.
Way bigger.
As always, no squids were harmed in the making of this episode. Until next time, my friends, bid you adieu.
I don't condone bulimony.
UFO tofu.
Cat piss dominatrix.
Our princess is in another castle.
I don't even know.
I win.